I am Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
And we're paranormal specialists who live in the most haunted city on earth, Savannah, Georgia. Every day is Halloween in our line of work, so join us as we spin true tales of haunts, murders, and disturbing Savannah history. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the most haunted city on earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
And I'm JT Timmons.
And today we have a very fun episode. We're going to be talking about the top 5 most haunted places that you can stay right now, which is super exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Spooky tourism.
Yes. Dark tourism is our favorite thing. It's our favorite type of tourism.
Yes.
Although some dark tourism is just straight up weird. Like,
I'm down with
I'm not. There's some levels of dark tourism that I'm not. I do not want to go to, like, killing fields or places where horrible, terrible things have occurred.
I was about to say I definitely want to go to killing fields.
No, not for me. Not my interest.
That's okay. So that's a big thing with paranormal people, I find, is there's a lot of paranormal people that draw the line at true crime, and then there's the rest of the paranormal people that are like, give me all the true crime.
Yeah.
And
I enjoy true crime. I just don't want to actually go to these places. I just don't want to stand in the place where somebody suffered a great deal and died a horrible death.
Oh, I definitely do. I at Florida State, Cayo.
Well, yes, of course.
And it used to stand at a certain spot, right? Mm-hmm. And I knew that spot because I confirmed with my father. I'm like, this is it, right? And he's like, yes, freak. And so he's like, that's it, Jay. I remember. So I would actually divert when heading to class. I would go the long way just to go by the Cayo every morning, like where it stood, because I don't know, it just gave me like I don't know, maybe I'm just a true crime freak, but it was cool.
Possible.
A lot of the sorority houses at Florida State are haunted. My sister is currently in a sorority at Florida State, and she's living in it right now.
And it's near Cayo.
Yeah, it is. It's right near where Cayo was, and she's like, it's really haunted.
Universities harbor amazing amounts of paranormal activity because it is oftentimes the breaking point of many people. Many people have their psychotic break at the age 19, 20. That is, or for the longest time, that was the comment. I believe the age has actually gone down now. Now the psychotic breaks are more commonly seen in like 13 and 14-year-olds. But in that transition period between high school and real life, that pressure. So I think every university has a long line of self-harm, a long line of suicides and trauma, just straight up trauma. So I think university campuses, that might be a good episode for later, is the most haunted universities.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, we did.
That's a great idea.
We did a whole episode on SCAD. And how haunted SCAD is. But yeah, we could definitely do all the different other universities.
Penn State isn't Paranormal State, like the home base for that is Penn State.
It's true.
Yeah, it is true. All right, so let's jump into it. But first, we have a couple quick announcements.
Yep.
So Madison, go ahead and start us off. Let's start off with thanking the newest Parajunkies.
Yep. So,
all right.
Yep. So we want to thank a few new Parajunkies. So we've got Ricky Wilms.
Yeah.
Adrian Lopez, Casey, Minnie McPherson, and Trisha Cullen. So
woo-hoo! Thank
you guys so much for becoming Parajunkies. We really appreciate all the support and the things like that.
I like the alliteration of Minnie McPherson.
Right?
Yeah, right.
It's a fun name.
That's a character name for like a play or a movie.
It really is.
Yeah.
And
it's true.
But yes, if you would like to become a Parajunkie, though, we really appreciate it. It helps us out to continue growing and making new content, like the short films and the live streaming and all that. It's because of the Parajunkies. And we also have a new option for annual subscription. So if you want to just like subscribe all at once, don't have to worry about monthly payments or anything like that.
And you get a discount.
And you get a discount. Definitely consider doing the annual subscription.
Ricky Williams did it. Thanks,
Woo!
Ricky.
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
So thank you guys so much again, and definitely consider joining us over on the Parajunkie side. They're currently watching this as we film it right
That's
now.
right.
So.
Yeah. They're getting this straight from the source.
Straight from the
unedited.
source.
Yes.
Because,
And
we make so many mistakes you wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
it's
It's true.
It's true. If you're listening to this and you are on the border of becoming a parajunkie, just fall off the cliff. Okay,
Right.
just do it. Just do it. It's so fun. We have so much
It's so
fun.
fun to fall off cliffs.
Yes, you're right. Go to places where terrible tragedies happen and fall off cliffs.
Yes, that's what I'm
JT's
talking
travel
about.
tips.
Yes. And so, and then also before we get into today's episodes, we do want to thank our two sponsors for today's episode. So we want to thank Cosmic Corner, which is a local metaphysical shop here in Savannah. It's one of my personal favorites. I sell my jewelry through them. They're wonderful, wonderful people. They are LGBT owned, and they are just fabulous people, a really great pillar in the witchy community of Savannah. So if you want metaphysical goods, books, witchcraft tools, herbs, candles, altar goods, all the things that you could possibly want for your witchy needs or your banishing of negative spirits or whatever it is that you're doing. Definitely check them out. You can find them at shopcosmiccorner.com.
Yep.
And if you're in town, they are located off of 38th Street. But they are one of our lovely sponsors. And then our other sponsor is Savannah Repertory Theater.
Yes.
Yes, they are actually sponsoring today's episode to promote their upcoming production of Empanada Loca, which is going to be so fabulous.
It's
I'm
going to
so
be fun.
excited.
It's going to be fun. It's based on the horrors of Dolores Roach, right?
So
Well,
it
yeah.
was a play
Or vice
first.
versa.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is the ultimate. The TV show is definitely where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And a podcast actually was created around the story of Dolores Roach as well, because
Yeah, I was about to say it's a fascinating media trickle.
It is.
because it goes through many forms to finally land at a television show. Yeah.
Yes. So they are doing that next month. To give you a little synopsis of it, drug dealer, masseuse, ex-con, survivor. Dolores has led a life like no other. Now living deep under Manhattan in an abandoned subway tunnel, she has a story you won't believe or ever forget. Inspired by the legend of Sweeney Todd, one of JT's favorite musicals and one of my favorite as well, Empanada Loca is a thrilling new play about an indomitable woman who knows that this is a dog-eat-dog world. Only one rule matters: eat or be eaten.
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
So, yes, boom. So this play does contain graphic language, and it is intended for mature audiences
Good.
only. It is 18 plus, so if you live in Savannah and you are under 18, I am sorry. Maybe,
We could sneak you in.
bruh,
Whoa.
no.
We make no promises.
Anyways, 18 plus only, but you can watch it on Hulu, I believe, or Amazon Prime, whichever the show is on, and it is excellent. But Empanada Loca will be the first show performed at their new location, the Rep downtown, which is 402 East Broughton Street in Savannah.
We're on the corner of Habersham and Broughton. It's an amazing space. It used to be an
is.
Acura dealership, but it's this incredible location.
Yeah.
It
really
it's
is.
going to be fantastic. Performances are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. General admission is going to be $40. Senior/military tickets are going to be $35, and tickets are now on sale.
Yes, get 'em. Get 'em.
Yes. And those dates are going to be September 7th through the 10th, and then also the 14th through the 17th. So definitely
We're
check.
definitely going.
Yes, we will be there.
We will be there.
At one of those nights for sure. So it's going to be really excellent. Definitely come check it out. They're also going to be doing a little bit more of an immersive experience, as from what I've heard. Is they're going to be
Will they be selling empanadas?
I think they will be. I think there will be empanadas, and there will be Latinx vendors and things like that selling their various wares and all that. So it's going to be a really good time.
All right.
But
Let's thank you so much for the announcements. Let's go ahead and jump on into it.
Yes. All right.
Top 5.
Yes. Top 5 places to stay.
Let me tell you, Madison has taken this episode because she does a lot of the planning for the episodes. She has taken this episode more serious than any other episode that I've seen her plan because she's like, this is such an important topic. Like,
Well, yeah.
We need to just make this the checklist for this podcast where we'll try to hit each and every one of these
that's a
in
great
the near
idea.
future.
That's a
And
great
so,
idea.
and it's so hard to condense into 5.
Yes. Top 5 is tough. I was like, well, 5?
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing is because I want to give you all the details on these places and things like that. So if we did a top 10, this would be a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah, that's
it's
the issue.
like, that's
Still got to talk about them.
I mean, we can talk about the 5 through 10 next if
Sure.
you wanted to.
Okay,
Yeah,
but,
let's do
that's a
it.
good idea.
Yeah.
To be continued.
But for right now, though, this is the top 5. And if we do not include something that you think needs to be on this list, please go ahead and send it to us. But I will say, I took a lot of care in trying to decipher and weigh out the various reasonings of why these should be on this list.
Yes.
Because there are like 10 billion different places in
absolutely.
America. Just America.
And we're just doing America, right?
Yes,
Yeah, we're
just
doing
America. This
Because
is
when we go international, that's
it gets even
That's a
harder.
whole-
super difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. But yes, this is just America, and these are not all hotels. So you will see. Some of them are odd sleeping arrangements, at the very least. But so number 1. Actually, let's start with number 5.
Yeah, number
let's
5.
start
I was
with
about
number
to say.
5. All right. So
The
number
countdown.
Yes. Let's start with number 5. The Conjuring House.
Absolutely.
Burrellville, Rhode Island. I almost said North Carolina.
North
but-
Kakalaki.
Yeah, but it's not. It's Burrellville, Rhode Island. So all of you, I'm sure, are very familiar with the Conjuring House. I mean, how could you not? If you are into the paranormal, you'd be living under a rock if you didn't know what the Conjuring House was. But to give you a little bit of the history about the house. Now, mind you, all of these synopsises of the different places that I'm in their hauntings, I pulled straight from each of their websites because we can tell their stories, but I want to hear it right from the horse's mouth.
What they're trying to
of what they're trying to convey.
Yes. And we have pricing and like availabilities,
Yes.
right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we'll get into those in just a little bit, but I
awesome.
want to give the overview. So, with the Conjuring House, the old Arnold estate located in Harrisville, Rhode Island. So I guess it's like, since it's small towns, whatever. Technically, they are in Burrellville nowadays. But at the time when it was built, it was Harrisville, Rhode Island, is an authentic colonial home, circa 1736, whose paranormal phenomena were made famous by the Conjuring movie in 2013, depicting the hauntings of the Perron family that lived there in the 1970s. Its paranormal past runs deep as far back as the 1700s, when the spirits of native tribes remained embedded in the land up through the present day, with the many spirits who continue to inhabit and visit the property. The mystical farmhouse offers visitors an opportunity to engage with authentic paranormal activity and is considered one of the most active paranormal locations in the world. Set on 8.5 acres, surrounded by stone walls, open fields, a river, and a forest, which is like the perfect combination for a haunted location. Running water in general is like one of the best things you can have if you want a haunting. So there's that. But visitors come from around the world to observe and connect with the energy here that Andrea Perrin describes as a portal cleverly disguised as a farmhouse. That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since opening to the public in 2019, thousands of visitors have witnessed and engaged with the abundance of supernatural activity present here. For anyone longing to connect with the other side of existence, this is the place to do it. The Conjuring House is a historical treasure with pastoral beauty, providing that those who are curious with an experience they will never forget. For some, an experience here can provide the key to understanding that our consciousness survives death and that we can connect with those who have passed before us. So here's the thing. They do 10 bajillion different things at this house. So we're going to be talking specifically about staying at this
The
house.
overnight stay.
But they have a laundry list of staff that works for them. They have resident mediums. They have paranormal investigators on staff. They have tour guides. They've got just a slew of different people. So
and it is expensive.
It's the priciest one on this list. Besides, I believe
I have the prices. Do you want me to just throw them up?
I know I have it.
Oh, you have
in its staying capacity. The price is for the night, but you can split it among up to 12 people.
So correct? It's up to, it depends on the night that you're going.
Right.
So how much it costs? Hold on to your pearls. It's gonna. So on Sundays through Thursdays, if you are staying the night and want access to the house, then it's going to be $960 per night.
Is that private access?
No. So they will host up to 12 people.
Okay.
So it could be up to 2 groups in the house, but and you
That's-
have access to the
money.
whole. You have access to the entire property, all 8.5 acres, the entire house, yada yada yada.
God dang.
So you can have up to 6 people. So that's $960 split amongst 6 people if you would like. Or if you want to add people to that, you can pay $160 extra per person if you had like a group of 7 or whatever it be. And that gets you access to everything. Or if you are going on a Friday or Saturday, then it is $1,280 per night for up to 8 people. And that also gives you free reign to the entire property. Now, if you just want to go stay on the property, but you don't necessarily want to paranormal investigate because they don't give you any of the paranormal investigative gear or anything like that. You got to bring your own gear, which I mean is not uncommon for paranormal experiences. They also offer a option that's a little bit more affordable to a degree called gamping. Ghost camping.
Gamping. Welcome to camping.
Yes. And so they have decked out these like trailers of sorts and like glamping type tents that have couches, or they've got multiple beds. They've got, like all this stuff, but it is not like your traditional camping. They are not they very stately announced that they are not a campground, so there's not like a shower or anything, because most people who are going there, they're not really going to sleep there. They're going to spend the whole night wandering around the Conjuring property.
Right, exactly.
But the camping, you can basically book that from anywhere to $300 up into $400, depending on how big of a tent or trailer that you're getting. But with that, you only get access to the outside. You do not get access to the inside of the house. So that would be more so, in my opinion, if you were a little bit weary to go investigate in the house, because the notorious type haunting.
There's a tree on that property that served as a hanging tree.
Yes.
I mean, isn't that part of the whole
Conjuring lore? Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating because, to be honest, if you've got a group of 6 to 8 friends, the price is cheap.
Yeah.
It's very cheap. It's less than $180 a person.
Oh, yeah.
When you think about it, for what you're doing, for that experience. Me and my wife nearly went, just the 2 of us, and willing to pay the price because we were right there. We were like within a driving distance. It was like, and it was just recently opened. So we're like, okay. We had just met people at the Lizzie Borden house that had come straight from the Conjuring house, and they were full of their stories of staying there. So when we calculate it and we think of like if we were to bring the most haunted team, we definitely would be at least 4 people, if not 6 people.
Yeah.
That becomes a very reasonable price
per
person.
Yeah, you're right.
And the Conjuring house is one of the places that we have been contemplating going to in the near future.
We had
it's
almost this past summer. We had serious conversations about going, like in June, July. We were like, we could set aside some time. We can get up there and split it amongst the team.
So eventually we're going to do it because it seems really fun. And now if you do stay in the house, they do give you cots. So if you get tired, you can take a nap in a cot.
I get a cot?
Yeah.
Yes, a whole cot.
A whole cot for
Well,
$180?
Half a cot.
Wow.
Yes. But
You have to share it.
Yes, but you do
What?
not
No, I'm
get...
kidding.
Oh.
But you don't get a hot meal, so it's not like
No.
prison. Sorry.
Yeah, no
You
meals.
just get the cot, no hot.
Bring some Pop-Tarts.
Yes, bring some Pop-Tarts.
You're not here for sleep.
You're here for ghosts.
I would be there for sleep. I would go to sleep at 11 like always.
We wouldn't.
I could not make it past 11.
We would not.
We have a JT waking stick.
We do.
We have to say, JT, scary things.
Scary
JT,
things are
grab the
happening.
camera. JT.
So that's definitely one that we'll be doing. But that is number 5. I put it as number 5 specifically because it's a really expensive experience for a lot of people to
And
do.
it's not, by any stretch of imagination, a hotel.
It's
or,
not.
Or, you know, when you think about it, it is a very overglorified Airbnb.
It is.
So
And it is also the only one on this particular list that is a paranormal experience
Right.
over being a place to stay.
Yes.
right.
Also a reason why it's number 5, because you're not really going there to sleep necessarily, but
So-
you can sleep there.
Absolutely.
Maria Cruz said, I feel like it's almost justifiable in price for the paranormal experiences you could have.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No.
We would pay it. It's just
we're looking at this at the tourism dollar and not the experiential dollar.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because there are certain things that don't have price tags to them. You know.
It's true. And also when you're comparing it to some of the hotels that are on this list that are also very haunted, but significantly cheaper, it can be, to some people, a little bit more reasonable to go to those places.
Sure.
But also it doesn't include the fact that...
If you start working per person, though, or per bed concept.
Well, it also doesn't include the amount of travel that it would take to get to those places.
good point.
You know, it's like not everybody lives around Rhode Island, and so if you live in New England, then you are very lucky. But
Right. And all of New England is really compact.
it is.
Like it feels like you can traverse all of New England, you know, in a weekend.
Yeah, you
I
can
think,
pretty
I
bounce.
think we did.
You can bounce around.
Right.
But yes. So number 4.
Before history is written, it's played. Before it's frozen in time, it's fought one shift at a time. Before it's etched in silver, it's carved in ice. What happens next will last forever. The Stanley Cup Final on ABC and ESPN Plus begins Saturday.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
We're going to move on to Hotel Monteleone in New Orleans.
Woo woo.
I could not include a New Orleans hotel on this list because I feel like the paranormal community would come at me with pitchforks because y'all are so intense about New Orleans. I mean, like
Nolans.
Nolans is
it's a haunted city. It definitely is on the rival, you know, toe to toe with Savannah when it comes down to the type of haunting and the level of notoriety for haunting.
Exactly. This hotel is absolutely stunning. It is right in the French Quarter. So if you're looking at it from like a place to visit, if you're going to New Orleans and you want to stay in a haunted hotel, this one seemed like a good location, locale-wise, because...
Right, the entire French Quarter at your disposal is,
Right.
you know...
It's fantastic.
Right.
So this one... has a multitude of different stories attached to it. But to give you some overview, they have one spirit, a maid known as Mrs. Clean, who reputedly haunts the hotel. Paranormal researchers once asked why she stayed, and the maid, whose mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother also worked at the hotel, said she was picking up after housekeeping to ensure high standards. So you'll know
there
when
you
you
go.
go there, it's
Right.
always going to be luxurious because of Mrs. Clean.
This is Clean.
Oh,
Mr.
Mrs.
Clean's
Clean.
estranged wife.
Right. On a side note, the hotel is also home to one of the best and most historic bars in the city, Care Forgot, which is what they call it. That is not just, us outsiders calling it that. That is literally what I remember that very distinctly. Because New Orleans, it earned that nickname.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Especially after Katrina, you could tell, like when we went there in 2019, 2021, one of the two, that whole era of 2020s was just a blur. But
yeah.
one of the years around that, when we went to New Orleans, you could feel the impact. Because like a lot of the cemeteries had been overgrown, things like that. So I understand why they call it the city that Care Forgot, which is sad. And I hope that changes eventually. But the cemeteries are still beautiful to see and things. But anyways, back to the hotel. So the ghost of Maurice Begier.
We're just going to go through all the possible...
Yeah, because I know that somebody is going to know exactly how to pronounce that, and they're going to be like, actually, it's this. But anyway,
Alex Machado's from NOLA.
really? Oh,
There you
that's
go.
great.
Yeah.
So Maurice, we'll just call him Maurice, has not been the only sighting on the 14th floor. He's their most famous ghost of the Hotel Monteleon. So one night, a couple entered the elevator on the lobby of the hotel. They pressed the number for their appropriate floor and found themselves in a tight embrace. In an attempt to keep this article PG rated, found themselves sounds like the best way to phrase it, is what they had listed on their website. They were so otherwise preoccupied that they didn't realize the elevator had stopped on the wrong floor, the 14th floor.
Dun, dun, dun.
It sounds like a Stephen King novel. The door pinged open and the couple stepped out, eager to head back to their hotel suite. But the moment that the elevator door closed behind them, the air around them grew cold and the skin on their arms prickling as an inkling of awareness edged out. The passion, holding hands, they slowly made their way down the hallway with each foot planted on the ground. The already cool air grew that much colder and the chill shuddered down their spines. They rounded the bend in the corridor and nearly released a scream at the ghostly scene before them. Although the couple hightailed it back to the elevator, with record speed, what they saw was imprinted in their memory. Apparitions of children playing in the middle of the hall, children not wearing present-day clothing, but clothing of a bygone era. Of childlike giggles, then one by one, each child's apparition stopped to stare at the couple before vanishing from sight.
Always worth mentioning that many tall buildings, the 14th floor is in fact the 13th floor, because they do not call the 13th floor the 13th floor.
It's true.
In an attempt to avoid, the calamity that comes from that superstition. So it's very possible that the 14th floor is in fact the 13th floor.
That is true. So these ghostly children might have been in a previous era, but various other paranormal investigators over the year have come to in contact with a 10-year-old boy who also likes to frequently visit the 14th floor. Though the spirit informed the investigators through EVP sessions that he died at a later age, he apparently likes to return to the Hotel Monteleon as a young boy so he can play with the other spirits of children who remain at the hotel. So, there is a bunch of different apparitions and things you can come in contact with if you stay at the Hotel Monteleon.
And Alex wanted to add in that there is a hotel in NOLA where the singer from the Heartbreakers died in it, and apparently his ghost haunts his room, and his name was Johnny Thunders.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also not uncommon for music towns and things like that. You see it out in LA too. The Roosevelt Hotel, which did not make it on this list. I know a lot of people will ask about that. Marilyn Monroe is also rumored, same way to haunt her room, even though I don't think we discussed that on the podcast.
She died in her home.
Yeah, she died in her home, but it was a place
she frequented, and they kept it for her. It was the kind of thing that they kept for her. And even the Marshall House here in Savannah, there's a trumpet player who committed suicide. And
the Marshall House is extremely haunted. It does not make our list because they don't like to say that they're haunted.
Right.
And they
They do not
also
feature
are
it.
owned by a larger company that
Avoids the
that
haunted.
denies
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
entirely.
Yes.
Although the Marshall House is truly one of the most haunted places.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like you can't deny people's experiences, and I think that's what matters with places because it's true. Although I don't understand why you wouldn't want to own your haunted nature, but you know, like one of my first paranormal experiences in Savannah was at the Marshall House. You know, it's a very, very haunted place to be, but yes, it did not make our list because of that. So. Anyway, so the Hotel Monteleone, if you want to book it, you can book it through their website. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that for the Conjuring House, you can book it through their website, and there's a variety of different ways to book on their website. You just have to follow whatever best fits what you're trying to experience. But with the Hotel Monteleone, you can book just like their normal, any room, just through their website at thehotelmonteleone.com. It costs anywhere... Here's the kicker. If you want to get bougie, you can get bougie with this hotel. If you want to be on a budget, you can also do that because it can range anywhere from $189 per night, not too bad, not too shabby, all the way to $1,283 per night.
Ooh.
So that's why I said if you want to get bougie, you can get bougie. But the most haunted part is the 14th floor. So if you are looking to stay on the 14th floor, I would highly recommend calling probably. That's usually the best way to go about it is trying to call and book over the phone. So that way whoever is helping you can put you in the best proximity to that. Because I find a lot of times when you're trying to book haunted locations, especially with hotels, they're going to make it a little bit more difficult to get certain rooms or whatever it is.
Well, especially online. Like the online system, you know, you're just being put in as input. There's no, you know, back and forth to be had.
Exactly. But if you're just looking to stay in the hotel in general and you just want to venture up to the 14th floor, you can easily do that. That's not an issue. I will say, though, in just common haunted tourism practice, if you're looking to go anywhere near Halloween or New Year's or any big holiday, definitely try to book in advance.
Or just don't.
Or don't do
because
it.
the amazing thing is going in off season to these places is so wonderful because not only are you avoiding a hike in price, you're also avoiding a hike in perception. A lot of people show up at this time. It becomes very crowded. So if you go in the off seasons, you get more personal time. You get a little more elbow room, as it were.
It's true. Yeah, and especially like places like Savannah, it's absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah, if you come here in January, February, you own this town.
It's true. You do, and sometimes that's the best time to encounter a spirit. It really is.
It's relatively temperate. You know,
it's not that bad.
It's compared to, you know, anything in New England. You come to Savannah,
true.
You're like, oh, this isn't winter.
So, speaking of Savannah,
Bum, bum, bum.
our number 3 is the 1790 Inn, and so one of our favorites. It's owned by a just really wonderful man named Patrick, and
Shout out to Patrick.
Shout out to Patrick. I know he's listening to today's episode because we made sure to get all the details from him for this episode. But yes, so it is a fantastic place to stay. Now, the story of Anna, which is the most haunted room in the hotel, I made sure to pull exactly what's on their website because there is so much discrepancy,
There's a lot of discrepancies, absolutely.
when it comes to her story in particular. So, on their website, they talk about 3 different spirits, including Anna. So there are at least 3 spirits which are believed to inhabit the inn. Anna is the most well-known. Guests staying in room 204 frequently report strange happenings such as jewelry or clothing being mysteriously moved from one place to another. Some have experienced being nudged or having bed covers moved. And she always seems to be a friendly spirit, yet always wanting to make her presence known. According to folklore, Anna was a bride of an arranged marriage who fell in love with a sailor in the early 1800s. She is said to have thrown herself to her own death from a third-floor window onto the brick courtyard below, just as the sails of his ship left her sight and headed down the Savannah River to sea. That's so romantic.
It is so romantic.
I know. Some suggest that she was pushed from the window by her angry husband-to-be who had paid for her passage to Savannah. Also very romantic and dramatic. So that's Anna's story.
Yep.
But
And
Anna...
that's room 204. Okay.
And Anna particularly is the one who gets a lot of discrepancies because there are a lot of people who will be like, she loves men or she really hates men. And
or that she's Anna Powers, the original owner of the building,
right,
versus a maid or
bride or
scullery personality. There's so many stories about Anna, and even Anna being a questionable name because they think it was kind of transferred back and forth, but it works for identification purposes. Anna the ghost, and as a matter of fact, the 1790 Inn embracing the haunted nature of the stories there, placed a mannequin
I love that
in the
mannequin.
window.
Yeah.
So if you go by at night, you will see this figure in the window. That's actually not a room, it's a hall.
Yeah.
Which is especially weird because, like, my first experience there, I was actually working on a TV show that was, doing hauntings, and I didn't know about the mannequin. So I was walking in the hall, and there was a mannequin behind the curtains, and you're just walking by going, what is that?
What is that? Yeah, it's absolutely astonishing how many people get freaked out by that mannequin. But it's definitely...
But it shows you the good nature of the
Yes.
establishment.
It's true.
Yes. And I have an announcement.
You have an announcement?
There's an
Yes.
announcement.
Yes. And y'all don't even know about it.
Oh,
Surprises.
surprise
Yep.
announcement.
So we are right now we are at 121 Parajunkies. When we hit 140 Parajunkies, we will be doing an investigation inside of Anna's room 204.
Excellent.
Oh,
There you
yay.
go.
That's
It'll be
exciting.
for Parajunkies only.
Fantastic.
And it will be a live stream, and it will be like kind of a lot like what we did with Washington, Georgia.
That's excellent.
Good.
That's super fun.
Yep. So 140, we got what is that? 19 to go.
Yeah.
19 to go.
So become a Parajunkie, and do that. That's gonna be fun.
And you will
Also,
get to an investigation.
yes, and also, let's see. I spoke to Patrick yesterday, and we talked a little bit because I know there's some like special things with this room, like that you have to do and all that. And he, basically we just wanted to clear some air that there's not a year-long wait list like everyone says.
Everybody says that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody says that there's not a year-long wait list. You have to book a year in advance for Halloween night
Absolutely.
and nights around Halloween, and also New Year's.
Yeah.
Other than that, there are plenty of availabilities, and you definitely need to check it out. It is 10% more to book that room. Sure. It's 10% more to book that room because there are, obviously
It's
people wanting
demand.
to investigate it, but
And wear and tear on the room.
Oh yeah. And it is like almost, I'm not gonna say it's guaranteed because nothing in the ghost world's guaranteed, but it is an exceptionally haunted room.
Yes.
Exceptionally.
Yes.
And in Halloween season, it's going to be, we have actually a prize that's going to be not for our podcast, but for a game show. We are partnered with the 1790 with the Savannah Underground as a prize package. So
Very cool.
We'll announce that at a later date. But yeah, we love the 1790.
Yes.
But anywho, there are other spirits though. There's a boy named Thaddeus who is sometimes seen on the ground floor of the restaurant and the tavern, which they do also have a restaurant in their inn, which is really different for like a bed and breakfast type, small inn. You don't usually see that. And so it is very convenient if you like a nightcap at the end of the evening.
Yes,
or you want
fantastic bar.
It's really nice. So there's that. Thaddeus leaves shiny pennies lying on the tables, bar, and the desk. He, too, is a friendly spirit who is sometimes experienced as a warm, unexplainable presence. And then there's one last spirit who I always heard about as being the negative spirit of the inn.
I would dare say protective.
Yeah, well, throwing things at people isn't very nice, but
context.
But context. But yes, so of a less friendly nature, there is a spirit that sometimes roams the kitchen area of the inn. Yes, she is a cook, and she is said to be wearing a lot of metal clanking bracelets. So people will often hear, that sound coming from like random areas in the kitchen, especially employees at later parts of the evening. And when they're closing down, they'll hear the cook, if you will. But also it's usually followed by pots and pans being tossed around or spice jars being thrown at unsuspecting kitchen workers. I also remember hearing like one story at one time, I don't even know if it's true, but about like some employee who came in and had a knife thrown at them.
The knife. Well, and that employee basically said it was my kitchen is what happened.
Oh.
The full exchange was the employee had been fed up by ghostly activities and announced that it was their kitchen, and a knife went flying at them.
So don't mess with her.
Yeah.
But yes, so definitely if you want to stay there, it's a really wonderful place to be. It's right in the middle of downtown. It's super accessible to like literally everything you want to be.
It's
near,
convenient walking to everything.
Everything. And so we highly recommend it.
It's only a block from the
It
Park
is
Cemetery.
everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like right there in the middle of just all the good stuff, huh?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like killer location.
Yeah.
You got the Colonial Park Cemetery literally right there.
Absolutely. Davenport House is right there.
Davenport's right there.
Keogh House is directly across the street.
Broughton Street, Leopold's, all the good stuff.
Owen Thomas House is directly across the street. It's well located. So even if you don't have any interest in ghosts, it's a great place to stay.
It is. And, but yes, like JT said, you can book it at any time during the year, except for, like Halloween, big special events.
And that is just that room. Keep in mind that the hotel does have
hauntings,
multiple rooms, and the entire thing is an experience to be had. There is on the same floor as the 204, and it's weird because you keep saying it's 204, but 204 is actually on the third floor. Because the restaurant is the bottom floor, and then the second floor is all the 10 rooms, and then the third floor is all the 20 rooms. But on that floor, down the hall, is a oblong mirror kind of coat rack thing. It has like a table, a mirror. Where you hang things, but it's just like placed in the corner, and that thing is a heebie-jeebie machine. You get up on that thing and you're like, oh, there's something wrong with this thing. All right. And it turns out that it came out of the Keogh House when it was a funeral home.
That sounds about right.
Moved across the street and put into the corner of that room, corner of that hall.
So, yeah, if you want to stay next to that, you can absolutely at any time during the year. It's really fun. And you can book that through their website regularly. And the room 204, if it is available, it will show up on their booking system online. And they make it really easy because you can literally pick what room you want to stay in. Like you want to stay in room 102, you can pick that on there as long as it's available. So I would say if you're looking to book it for your trip, put in your trip dates and just scroll on through and see if it's available. But definitely, I think a really solid number 3 for the list.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go into number 2, pause this. Go watch The Woman with Mismatched Fingers on YouTube. It's super dope.
Yes.
And now number 2.
And based on a ghostmail, an actual experience that was shared with us through our ghostmail. And if you have a ghost story, share it with us.
To ghostmail at hauntedcitypodcast.com. So, with that though, number 2. the Crescent Hotel in Eureka
boy.
Springs, Arkansas.
We all know this
The
one.
Crescent.
Ah, yes. Well, I think it's a really freaky hotel, in my opinion. Just based on the history alone, is dark tourism like gold. You know, if you're not familiar with the Crescent Hotel, well, let me enlighten you. So it was originally built in 1886. The Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, was taken over by the criminal and entrepreneur Norman Baker, which also sounds a lot like Norman Bates, but not in the same way. They did not have the same MO, so don't worry.
They have a ghost page.
They do. They have a whole ghost page. They like their ghosts.
They do.
So Norman Baker in 1937, who turned the property into a hospital and health resort while claiming to have a cure for cancer. How messed up do you have to be?
So dark.
To tell people that, like, yes, I can cure your cancer. Come to my bizarre little hotel thing.
Well, it was all the craze of the period, though, and a lot of people don't realize that the health retreats and the idea of health retreats were so big, and people died horrible deaths because they were being treated with just non-effectual things, and their pain was not addressed at all, because they were like, we've got this. We're going to give you, face massage and you'll be fine. And they're like, but I'm on fire. My body hurts. And they're like, face massage, you'll be great.
Right. So Norman Baker would be later jailed for mail fraud, although that was hardly his worst offense. Many people allegedly died under his untrained supervision, and some paranormal experts say the hotel's sordid past caused the spirits of several patients to stick around. The hotel is now a beautiful, expansive retreat. It offers ghost tours and even features images of ghosts spotted at the resort on its website. So this place, Norman Baker has still been captured around the hotel. Lots of patients have been captured around the hotel. So it's very haunted in that regard. I have never been to even Arkansas, so I can't speak on the fact of whether or not I think this is residual type hauntings or not. But nonetheless, if you want to go somewhere and just take a crap load of photos and see if you can capture something, it's a really good place to do so.
Yeah, they famously have a lot of evidence. Like, that's what I know of the Crescent. I don't have any real experience with the Crescent at all, but I do know that famously people have come away with some incredible photography and incredible images. And I like to think that there is something to the idea that when Norman Baker passed away, his spirit was literally drawn back to the place to torment him.
I would hope
that
so.
He would not have rest, that he would not be given rest. So, a lot of times we think about the weight of guilt, and I just don't believe he had guilt of his own. So I think he is being made to suffer, not suffering on his own.
Exactly. And, and I hope that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. That might just be wishful thinking, but I do think that because, by the time he passed, he was not associated with the building anymore in that regard. There probably is something at the place saying, you don't get to go.
You don't get to leave that easily.
You have no peace.
And so that's why I made it number 2, because I think with that dark of a past, you're going to innately get a lot of spirit.
And the volume of because that's, again, like I said, the only thing I know about it is the volume of evidence that people seem to get from the Crescent. Absolutely.
And I think that speaks volumes in general about a place that if you're going specifically to find spirits, the more volume you have of spirits, the better chance you're going to have with a paranormal type experience. So makes it pretty high on my list. Also, Eureka Springs, from what I can tell, seems like it's it's a small town. It's not around like a ton of stuff. I mean, there's not a ton of stuff in Arkansas in general, so makes it.
I have very little experience with Arkansas. I don't think I've ever been.
Yeah, so. I've never been either, but it's it seems like that would also be a really good place for paranormal type activity, because there's not a lot of input of outside stimulus, if you will, because if I'm correct, the history of Eureka Springs was it was a hot springs town.
Right.
So it was already a health retreat type place. And I think they wanted to keep that honoring of the relaxing vibes, if you will.
Sure.
But yes, there isn't like one particular room that's like overtly more haunted. So it seems like you can just take your pick at the lot and just start wandering around the hotel, which they obviously accept happily.
Yeah.
And
Pair Junkie Radar stayed in what, the Doll?
No, that was at the
another...
Jefferson Hotel in
Okay.
Texas.
Yeah.
But she caught an image. I can try to find it. She caught an image of what looked like a doctor in the.
Yeah.
It was weird.
In the elevator door.
Yes,
Not like
that's what
standing
it
in the
was.
elevator, but like in the.
Let me see if I
metal.
can find it.
Yeah, the reflection.
I think I have it because she sent it to me to edit, and I know she'd be cool with me showing it.
But yeah, she was the one who I first like really got the details of the Crescent Hotel, which I thought was interesting. But yes, so if you want to book it though, if you want to book a room in general, you just book through their website, which is crescent-hotel.com. And they have rooms that range from $180 per night up into $454 per night. So very reasonable and whatnot, depending, especially if you're only doing a little short jaunt over there. Not super bad. And they do nightly ghost tours, which is super fun.
That's super fun.
Yeah, so I think it's a really cool place to stay. It sounds very similar to what it was like when we went to the Magnolia Plantation out in St. Francisville, Louisiana.
That was before the podcast.
Yes, that was way before the podcast. And they had the same thing where you stay the night there. They obviously don't care if you walk around the property and take photos and stuff, but they do a ghost tour every night. So you can, get access to the whole house, and they tell you all the history. It's very fun. So if that's the same way, I can imagine it seems like a good paranormal place to be.
Oh, yeah.
But Jay, do you want me to move on to number one?
Move on. I'm still looking. I'll bring it back to it if I can find it.
So
it's been a minute.
Number one, the Queen Mary.
Bum, bum, bum. The Queen Mary. The Queen
Yes.
Mary.
And I kind of kept this one brief for us because we did a whole episode on the Queen Mary. So if you want all the nitty gritty details of what's going on that ship, check out that episode because we went very in depth. But it is unbelievably haunted. I actually had some guests from LA a couple weeks ago who came on my tour, and they were, very into ghosts and stuff, but the daughter was like a child actor or something. And so she had booked some job for a TV show, and they were filming on the Queen Mary. And so they booked rooms for all the cast to stay on the Queen Mary because their call time was like 5 a.m. or something. And they said that it was the worst experience they've ever had in their life. Like, the activity in their room was unbelievable. They're like, first off, it's claustrophobic because it's like a old cruise ship. Old
cruise ship, yeah.
And so the rooms are like the size of, like a jail cell. And so you're staying in that. There's not really windows. I think they said they had like a porthole, and that was it. And then on top of that, they were talking about how like the spirits were pulling the covers off of them all night. They saw what looked like a woman standing in their doorway, staring at them all night and would not move, no matter what they said.
It couldn't help that they were doing recreations.
Right.
They were telling the ghost stories. So
exactly.
You're automatically going to be targeted.
Exactly.
That you're portraying the ghosts and the people who have suffered on the ship.
Yeah, because so many people died on the Queen Mary from a variety of different things, and hence why I tell you go watch that episode.
Right.
Because if you want to know, like,
we have a
about
full episode,
all of those specific gory details. But the point is that it seems like every single person I've ever heard of or read about who has stayed on the Queen Mary has had some type of experience.
Sure.
And we even had a ghost mail sent in one time
Yep.
somebody's
That's what
experience.
spurred it, didn't it?
Yeah, the wet
that
ghost.
made us make the
the full
The full
deep
episode,
dive.
right.
Yeah, because they had the experience with the wet ghost. And it's like, which also will eventually spur another episode about wet ghosts and ghosts who die from tsunamis and things like that, maybe one day.
We were talking about that with cruise ships and haunting of cruise ships. You know, just the concept and idea of every cruise ship must be haunted as well.
Oh yeah. Well, and so that's so JT and I. The reason why we talked about cruise ships is because JT and I are our wedding anniversary is in October, but because we are in the spooky
industry,
business, we cannot celebrate our wedding anniversary in October. So we celebrate in September. So we are taking a cruise at the beginning of September on one of the it is currently the world's largest cruise ship. It's brand spanking new. And so we were talking about, I wonder if it's already haunted or not. Because you can do a deep dive rabbit hole into how many people die on cruise ships annually. And it is baffling.
Not to mention just spirits lost at sea.
Oh, yeah,
the
absolutely.
concept of seeing this large, bright light in the dark and being like, I'm getting on that.
Yeah. They're like, I'm tired of hanging out with all these sharks.
Just floating
Yes.
out in the water somewhere.
And so, but like the sheer number of homicides that happen on cruise ships, that happens a lot. A lot of people die from heart attacks, strokes, because
For anybody who's getting this bright idea, just because you're in international waters doesn't mean you can kill someone and not be prosecuted.
Exactly.
You know, I think because I think there was an epidemic of people who thought they could commit heinous crimes on ships, and because you're in international waters, you're not actually accountable to the law.
Yeah.
That's not what that means.
That's not what that means.
And you will have to answer. Well, if you're caught, you will have to answer.
It's a lot of times, a lot of the stories, because JT and I are freaks, if you didn't know. In the last cruise we went on, we did a deep dive into this, and a lot of them are lovers' quarrels.
Oh, sure.
You know, people go on honeymoons, and they definitely should not have gotten married in the first place, and now they're trapped in a tiny room together, and they go insane. They snap. So that happens a lot. People die from natural causes, like because a lot of elderly people go on cruises. So there is also...
And that's another thing is, you know, later in life, a lot of people dedicate all their free time and their leisure time to cruises.
It's
so
true.
after they pass, cruises are still big in their spiritual journey as a part of where they felt safe, a part of where they felt loved and goodness. So going onto a cruise ship is what the pattern of the spiritual activity was as well.
It's true.
All right, I have the photo.
Okay, pull it up.
All right, so this photo was sent in by Parajunkie Radar. This was at the Crescent Hotel, which is our number 2 haunted hotel today. And basically, I'm going to show it to y'all in 1 second, but basically on the left side, it is the original photo, and that's the one she sent me. She asked me to edit it in Lightroom, and so put it in Lightroom, and I did some editing, and then the middle one and the third one over all the way to the right, that's where you can see the faces. So here, I'll turn it for you guys, and boom. All right, it's actually just one face, but here's the original photo, and then you have the face right here.
It's hard for us to tell on this screen, but I know what this photo looks like.
And then this one, you can see a pretty defined face.
In the bowler hat,
right
too.
there. Yeah, and the bowler hat. So,
which would have been appropriate for the 30s when he was practicing.
Absolutely.
Yep. So that is it.
Wow. There you go.
So she might have caught Norman Baker. Woo! But
scam artist.
Yes. And so, but because of the sheer volume of paranormal activity and it seeming like literally every single person who comes onto that ship has some type of paranormal experience, that seems like a number 1 for me.
Yes.
And it's so accessible for everybody to go because you don't have to stay in a particular room to have paranormal activity. You can
just
literally
haunted all around.
It's just haunted all around, which I personally really love, and I would love to go stay there eventually. It's been a long time since I've been out to California, but but yes. So that the Queen Mary is currently docked in Long Beach, California, outside of LA. So If you live in the LA area, which I know a lot of our listeners do, definitely go out to the Queen Mary.
And that's a good point to bring up. Wherever you are, there is a haunted hotel near you. Wherever you are. So, just do a little Google search, find out the haunted hotel near you, the nearest one to you, and check it out. I mean, if that is something that you're interested in, if you want to have those experiences, it is a self-contained experience because for the price of a hotel room, you are now staying in a place that offers you the opportunity to experience some haunting or at least be in proximity to some haunting. So, don't think that you need to adhere to any list because you take the Fitzpatrick it is kind of an out of a way hotel, but it's right there in kind of the rural area of Georgia. It's a fantastic place to experience or to have experiences in. And that gives you this kind of idea that anywhere will have a haunted hotel, anywhere you go to. I'm kind of surprised the Stanley Hotel didn't make it to the top 5.
So we have honorable mentions. It's, and so to finish at the Queen Mary, though, definitely you can book any of the rooms on the Queen Mary. They also have a variety of different experiences as well. If you just want to go visit it, they have that option as well. You don't have to stay there. But the Queen Mary can be booked through their website, queenmary.com. And it costs anywhere between $136 to $255 a night for just a stateroom. But they do offer other packages, and ghost tours are an additional fee. So if you want to book a ghost tour at the end of the night as well, that's a really great experience. And one day, and I'm sure we will all go out there and do that. But
One day.
But yes, for our honorable mentions, though, we have the Fitzpatrick Hotel in Washington, Georgia.
Yes.
We have the
so
haunted.
So very haunted.
And
just not a lot of notoriety to it.
Exactly.
Yet.
But although Ghost Brothers did.
Yes.
They did do
that's
that.
pretty cool.
Which is really exciting for them. But then we have the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. And then I had one more, but I can't remember it. But yes.
It was,
Was
you
the
told
Hawthorne
me.
in Salem?
I had that one as well.
I mean, literally anywhere you go. If the Cecil Hotel still was open, is it open? It's not open, I don't think. But that would have been on the list, absolutely. So there's plenty. Like everywhere you go, every town, every city, there is a hotel that has a ghost story attached, and we put it to you, Parajunkies. Find a haunted hotel and stay the night. Yeah. And then write a ghost mail to us about it.
Do it.
Yes.
I had the Hawthorne Hotel on my top 5 list, and I actually booted it. So it's
the Hawthorne is such a nice hotel.
It is. It's beautiful.
And it doesn't have no heebie-jeebie alarms going off, but it's a beautiful hotel, and you're kind of like,
it's historic.
This is nice. There's a hotel in St. Augustine. It escapes my brain, but I remember walking down the halls of that hotel in St. Augustine and thinking, this just doesn't feel natural. Right. Like literally, the halls were diagonal, so it wasn't like you were like walking straight down. You were walking at a diagonal and then another diagonal, and you're like, this can't be right. Who puts diagonal halls in anything?
So I remember my last one now. It was as an homage to my hometown, the Don Caesar in St. Pete, Florida, which is, if you look up a lot of the lists of most haunted places to stay in the U.S., the Don Caesar does usually make it. I didn't include it on this list because it's not haunted enough to beat out the rest of these things, but I think it's an honorable mention, and it's a beautiful place to stay if you're in St. Pete at all. But yes. But with that, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's episodes. And like we said, if you have any haunted hotels that you would like us to do a deep dive into, or haunted places to stay that you'd like us to do some more research on, send it in to us. You can pretty much send everything to ghostmail at this point, since TikTok has taken away all my resources.
Any questions you have, any responses you have, all, and of course, ghost stories.
Yes, and ghost stories. But with that, though, y'all, my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
And stay spooky, y'all.